Hello and welcome to the Summer Schooling YouTube channel. My name is Nico. If you're interested in conversations about school, education, and sometimes things outside of it, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video and the content and what I'm talking about, please leave a like. And even if you don't like it, leave me a comment. I look at all the comments, I read all the comments, uh, as evidenced by this and trying to shorten down the videos but still keep it informative. Yeah, I appreciate all the engagement. It goes a long way to helping me create better content for you, the viewer or listener. So, without further ado, it's time for the topic for today. What does it mean to be a teacher? Now, this is something that I have grappled with, chewed on, and debated in my head for the past 7 years, going on 8. Quick context for the people that are just coming into this video. I was only a teacher for 2 years, a full-time teacher for 2 years, classroom teacher. I'm gonna get into why I'm saying classroom teacher for 2 years. What this video is about. Prior to that, I had worked for 5 years in just about every job as it relates to children. I was mostly a childcare worker working with kids after school, grades K through 7th. I got my early childhood education credentials, was a substitute teacher for 2 years, was a playworks instructor. So I would organize games for the kids to play at recess every day. Did that. I even was a manny on some circumstances where I just babysat kids at home. I did all of that with the intent to diversify my experience so that way when it came time to finally having my own classroom, I was more than prepared because I knew how to deal with kids in every other avenue of their life. Now that they're just in this classroom, I know what's coming into that classroom. So here's the thing. When I was working with all these other jobs outside of being a teacher, um, I I was always told by parents, kids, colleagues, Nico, you're a great teacher. Mr. Nico, you're a great teacher. Mr. Nico, you're great. Good teacher. I would always say thank you, but I could not internally accept that because I wasn't a teacher. So I had teaching, the job of teaching on this pedestal of something that when I finally achieve that goal and I get my credentials and I am an official teacher, I can say, yes, I am a teacher. Um, and this video, it's gonna be a little messy. I'm trying to talk through all my ideas. I've written through it, uh, but this video is it's just going to explore that false notion that I had in those 5 years. And that false notion was that my work was not as important as the job of teachers. Their work was inherently more valuable than my work. So 4 years into my child care career, I decided to go and apply to San Jose State's College of Education. And I'll skip, just give a cliff notes and get straight to the portion where I was student teaching, because this is where I want to share stories of how my view of being a classroom teacher, being a teacher, that definition was heavily shaped. So for those that don't know, when you are going through teaching school and getting your credential, you have to spend a period of time being a student teacher. Basically, the school and the program pairs you up with a mentor somewhere in the vicinity, a mentor teacher, and you basically work with them every day or 3 days a week. And they just you're just under their tutelage and you do lessons here and there with them. You talk to them, you do worksheets with them. Um, yeah, so when it came time to pick my first semester and second semester of student teaching, the first semester, I think it was only 3 days a week, and then the second semester was just about every day. Now, a lot of prospective teachers will be paired up with individuals and mentor teachers that they've never met. And that's just the way it is. Fortunately, I was working in my own hometown, and it was just on the threshold of how far San Jose State was willing to go to run my student teaching experience. So I was working in those 4 years. I had worked well enough to basically choose who my student teacher was. I just talked to my friend who was the head of HR in the district, and she said, anyone you want for student teaching, we got you, choose. And I chose two teachers. So I felt very purposeful with the two teachers that I chose, because I really wanted them to kind of just give me a culture shock. I picked them because they had styles that I really admired. Now, the first semester teacher, I'm going to change the names for both to respect their privacy. But the first semester teacher was Mr. Krishna. He was a second grade teacher. And this guy was so, I admired him because he was just Zen like in his approach to classroom management and teaching. I mean, the his ability to orchestrate and direct the energy that was happening in the present moment of a classroom was and is something that I can only hope to achieve on good days. I mean, I'll tell a story. This is the type of teacher that he was. His ability to catch human lessons in the moment and deliver it to second graders. Uh, Before I tell this story, yes, the guy covered his academic bases just fine, but he never did it at the expense of neglecting who those children were. They were students, but they were also children in his classroom. And I remember first semester, just to illustrate the level of 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 mindfulness that this man has. And at the end of the school year, I had him in the first semester, so I came back at the end of the second semester to visit. I had gone through the whole year with, or the whole first semester with this class, come in at the end to just see that bond only build more, and now they were all saying goodbye. And he left his doors open way after school, and the kids were still hanging out. And each time a kid would leave, he would meet them at the door where they're getting picked up, and then he'd look back at the class, have his arm around their shoulder, and say, "All right, say to the class, so what are you gonna miss, and what are you excited for in your life moving forward?" And this one girl came up, and she was crying. She was just trying to cry. She was trying to stop crying, and she just said, "I, I'm gonna miss this class and all you guys. I love you, Mr. Krishna, and I love all of you, and I'm really gonna miss it." And I'm trying. I'm sitting on the side. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying to hold it all in together. The kids are crying. Mr. Krishna's not crying. He's just smiling like a gentle Mr. Rogers smile. And after this student says that to the class, he takes a knee and he looks at the class and he says, "You see this, kids? It's fine. It's fine," says to the kid. "Cry. It's a good cry. Let your emotions run. Kids, this is called closure. You've had an amazing experience in this classroom together, and the story is finally complete, and you're on to the next chapter, the next book of your lives, how you choose to write it. This feeling of completeness is good. So accept this closure. It's a part of your life. And sometimes you don't get it, sometimes you do, but when it happens, smile. Allow yourself to feel." And other classroom teachers watching this will understand how incredibly difficult that is, to catch human lessons out of thin air as they're happening and deliver diamonds back. Sometimes, like, I'll grab a moment, a teachable moment, and turn it into silver, copper, maybe gold. For Mr. Krishna, it was constantly just, without looking, just teachable moment, diamonds. Teachable moment, diamonds. This man was just a beloved member of the school. He had his students that were now in high school and that were now parents coming back to just talk to him. But that was Mr. Krishna, okay? That was Mr. Krishna. And my second semester was with Miss Biggs. And Miss Biggs I chose for kind of just, she was the opposite of Mr. Krishna in that she was so meticulous with her planning and her organization. Every time I would visit her classroom, it was just nothing was out of place. All the lessons were curated and ready to go for the rest of the school year. A worksheet was made for every circumstance, and anything you needed to know on where it would be. There were labels and directions for everything. And I thought this is the perfect style to complement and kind of wash the palette of the Zen like first semester. And together, it would really force me or put me in a position to really, really cultivate a personal meaning on what it means to be a teacher. With Miss Biggs, as I was teaching with Miss Biggs, I learned very quickly that she was not she was not that organized out of just wanting to be organized. She was that organized where she had worksheets printed for the whole school year and for the next school year. She was that organized because she was so deathly afraid of what would happen if she didn't have a plan. And that was very jarring to me, because as a student teacher, you have a lot of time sitting with the teacher one-on-one outside of the class. And in my time with Mr. Krishna, when we were talking outside of class, it was very light. It was light in terms of no one felt stress. I mean, yes, there was stress, but no one felt tense. It was very at ease in conversation, back and forth, the ideas we discussed. With Miss Biggs, the the pressure of always needing to know what's going to happen next and always having to follow that script to a T, it was just, yeah, it was a tense conversation all the time. uh, and I asked my professors at San Jose State, what is this? Why? How does this kind of personality occur? And I was told that Miss Biggs is kind of a product of No Child Left Behind, where you're so focused on teaching to the test that it's like a PTSD. And I don't know. I didn't teach during that time, and to be honest, I don't have much policy knowledge of No Child Left Behind. I will do my best to educate myself on that. Um, but it didn't it it didn't excuse her irrational behavior outside of working with the kids. The best way I can say it is that classroom environment was just like a tour bus that was always late for its next stop from the second it left the station. It was always late for the next stop. We got to do this. We got to do this. We need to. No time. Kids falling off the bus. Don't care. Next thing. It was bad. It was very bad. And the scary thing to me, and it's still just, it concerns me to this day, is that she was still considered a good teacher. And this is what has me debating the meaning of what it means to be a teacher. With Miss Biggs, she covered all her bases as it came to standards and getting this academic information into children's head. She had a good rapport with the parents, and for the kids, I mean, it was a boring class, but they were learning and being taught. Um, but the second the class would end, just the the anxiety, the overwhelming anxiety, because when you conduct your teaching and you're motivated by your teaching by deadlines to that degree, by deadlines and data to that degree, you live and die by your pacing and by the scores that you see. Everything what needed to be accounted for all the time. She was always behind, and I was surprised she still had hair. I mean, I gave a story from Mr. Krishna. Let me give a story for the kind of mindset that Miss Biggs had. Now, when I taught lessons in Miss Biggs' class, when I was allowed to teach, I had to read. We were using Math Bridges at the time. I could not create my own lessons at all. I had to read step by step the lessons and do it exactly as it was said. No anecdotes, Mr. Nico. You got to just do what the book says because the kids are being tested on this. So I remember I taught one lesson, and at the end of it, I thought it would have went pretty good. I say, Miss Biggs, what did you think? Is there anything I can improve on? She says to me, Nico, you skipped step 6, and that's really important. I'm going to have to go over that again tomorrow. And I mean, the kids are going to be tested on that. They need to know step 6. So the next time you teach, you need to go back, make sure you don't miss any of the steps, and then cover step 6. This is what teaching is. And the last one thing in terms of math, the last story I'll share in terms of just how driven she was by knowing that she was teaching preparing the kids for that assessment and that test at the end of the year. I had to teach the kids decimal placement. And let's say I'm going to try and do this in editing. I put this number on the board. Okay. You see it 0, decimal point, and 0, and then 5, right? How would you read that if you saw that on a board? You're probably normal. And if you said it in the way she wanted it, then you probably had her class. I was not allowed to say 0.05. No, I could not say that, and the kids couldn't say that. I would have to say 0, decimal point, and 5/100ths. I remember in the middle of a lesson, I accidentally said 0.05, and then I corrected myself. I said I meant 0, decimal point, and 5/100ths. And at the end of the lesson, when I asked for notes, she said to me, Nico, I think you were doing that to spite me. You know that people actually say 0, decimal point, and I can't even say it now. You know that people don't that people actually say this. These kids need to know this for the test. And if you're going to make fun of me for what I'm asking of you, don't do that. Needless to say, these were the two experiences that really shaped my view of what it means to be a teacher. And here are the takeaways that I had with this experience. I learned that you can be a good classroom teacher without being a good teacher. And I know that sounds wild to say, and it's semantics, but no, it really means something to me, because a teacher like Miss Biggs can thrive in a classroom environment, but I saw the second that kind of teacher leaves the classroom, their life's a mess of worry, of fright, of 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 just pure victimization too. And to me, you know, if all a teacher is just someone who's getting academic information into a kid, I mean, that's a very low bar. And take this moment. I've thought about it too. The teachers that I've had in my life that weren't my favorite teacher, but they got the academic information to me, and I was able to relay it back to them on an assessment. I learned. Think about those teachers. Now think about them in comparison to the teachers you hold dear in your heart, the ones that you'll never forget, the ones that you model so much of your current life to, like, from. Think about that. Compare those two. And for me, those teachers that I hold near and dear, I might have not even scored high academically in their classes as I did with the classes that had, good teachers who were just teaching me the material and didn't leave an impression on me. But I was so inspired by those individual teachers that I wanted to do right by them. I didn't care about the grade. I just cared about my effort. And what those individual favorite teachers in my life did for me is something that can't be captured in any kind of data recording tool. That being said, I know it's important to get that data. Those teachers that I love still gave me assessments and I tried my best, but that was not the most important interaction between us. It was forgettable. It was forgettable. I don't care about the tests I took in those classes with my favorite teachers. I don't care. I cared about the conversations I had with them at lunch. I cared about the class discussions on the subject matter that I knew I wouldn't be getting in any, if we just followed the book. It was just about being able to learn about this individual in front of me. So I'll end this video by saying this. I know it's been all over the place, but I'm trying. I'm trying, and I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section about this, because I think that we need to really expand our definition of what a teacher is, because there I say that I left classroom teaching. That's the clarification I make now, because to me, and I kind of knew this before I became a teacher, but to me, teaching is a lifestyle. You got certified teachers, people who have spent thousands of dollars to have this vocation, uh, who went to thousands of hours of professional developments and classes, and they finally get their own classroom, and they don't read in their own personal time. They don't care to reflect on who they are as an individual at that moment in time. It's go home, watch Netflix, or binge watch something until whatever is the next day of school, and you come in and you don't even personalize your lessons. They'll just read the curriculum books that were given to them, and that's it. They paid all that money and spent all that time to just be a script reader. And the terrifying thing is that those individuals can sometimes do the job of teaching. Those kids will have good grades, but that's the bar we set for what a teacher is. I'm sorry. I cannot get behind that. I feel that you can be a teacher anywhere in life. Some of the most important lessons that I've learned about myself, the craft, the profession, the institutions, came from not just teachers, not just other teachers, came from receptionists. It came from maintenance workers. It came from parents. It came from the principals. It came from just people working in the district. It came from retired teachers, and it came from students. I think my personal definition of what it means to be a teacher, and probably my hint to anyone watching this of how you want to live the lifestyle of a teacher, spoiler alert, the best way to do that is to never stop being a student. Continue asking, just asking, being curious to everyone around you. Anyone can teach you something. Anyone can leave an imprint on you. They don't have to have these credentials and these they don't have to have those credentials to convey to you that they know exactly what they're talking about. I think that we should have credentials and some sort of regulations to see who gets in the classroom. Fine. That should be in place. But I take those with a grain of salt, because those aren't indicators of a good teacher. If you are watching this and you are a child care worker, you're a teacher's aide, You are a substitute teacher. You have a coworker that shows kids animals on the weekends and during the week. If you're any of those things and you're working with kids and you try your best to do with that time, you try to make the most of that time you have interacting with that kid, you're a teacher. You're a teacher. Don't let any of the people, the certified full-time staff, tell you you're not. If they make it that they I never like this attitude of, oh, you're just a specialist, you don't know. Oh, you're just the receptionist, you don't know what it's like to be me. Oh, that dismissive attitude. I mean, that's something I cover in this channel. It is a pure aversion to any sort of self-reflection. We're all in this together as a community and working with these children. The teachers have a very important job. The classroom teachers have a very important job, but they are not the only person that kids are running into and interacting with. Every single adult in a child's life should take their own individual lives seriously so that when it comes time to interact with kids, they can be a good teacher. And how do you be just modeling being a decent citizen, being a reflective citizen, having a better understanding of yourself and the world, of purpose, of principled values, things like that. But we can't have a bunch of aimless adults just walking and working and talking and interacting with kids. I would rather have everyone in a community being that model for the children. Why stop at the teachers? We can all be teachers in that way. So let's stop with the division. If you're going to be a teacher, great. Great. I hope you have a very fun time. I hope your class finds you incredibly rewarding. But don't let the ego of being a teacher get to your head where you're like, no, my work is way more valuable than what the receptionist is doing with the kids. They don't know what I'm doing. No, the maintenance crew, all they do is come here and fix benches. They don't know what it's like to be a classroom teacher. Yeah, maybe they don't know, but they've lived a life. And there's something you can prune from that life that can help add to your own philosophy. And if the consequence of doing that is some sort of inspiration for a new lesson for the kids, a new way to interact with the kids, then that's a net good. That's a net good. So I'll stop it there. I don't think I did my deal of keeping this short, but if you like this, please let me know in the comments. Is a teacher only the person who's in the classroom getting academic information to the kids? Or is a teacher more than that? Can a teacher exist outside the classroom? I need to know. I want to know. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye.